Hello, everyone. Welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. I just want to sing. I just want to dance. I just want to ease on down the road because today we are talking about The Wiz, okay? The 1978 American musical. I just jumped right into it. I didn't even ask how
I'm
y'all
about
were
to say
doing
this is
today,
the most
but
excited you've been in a long
You
time.
were,
Just
like,
jump right
ready.
into an episode.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, if you're
No,
if you're
it's
feeling
good.
it, you're
High
feeling it. Go
energy.
for
High
it.
energy.
high energy,
Go
high
for it.
energy. Let's do it. Let's do it. How are you doing? How are you doing, Jerome?
I'm doing good. A classic. Wiz is awesome. I love watching the Wiz. It's been a long time though. I was amazed at how many things I caught that I had forgotten about this movie. But it's still great time. I had a good time rewatching it again after so long.
And how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. The Wiz was really fun to watch. I do love musicals, so that of course that's always a plus with me. So it was nice to see. It was nice and weird and interesting on the same route to see how it was depicted in a city at the same time when it was still not the city of like Harlem, because Harlem. So I liked, like, I was really energized by, like, hey, this looks like I could have like danced on that like style and like when I lived in Chicago. I had alleyways like that. It kind of felt like more like, so it made me feel a little more connected. It was nice. So I had a good night connection.
Well, I guess we could start by talking about our each of our histories with the movie because so I the first time I saw this movie I think was when I was like 14, 13, 14, something like that. And I just remember watching it year after year during Thanksgiving time after the first time I had watched it. But Jerome, I know you had seen it before. What was your history with the movie?
I can't remember when I first saw it. I know I was younger. I don't know if I was a teenager or in middle school. I think I was a teenager by the time I watched it for the first time. But it was I remember my mom kind of hyping it up because she was like, yeah, like the creatures in the Wiz are super scary. I was like, okay, I guess I'll take it. So I don't know how I found it, but I just watched it. And at the time, I was old enough to not be scared of the Wiz. I was like, these creatures aren't that scary. But
The Tin Man was pretty scary.
But my mom, she watched the Wiz when she was a kid. So for her, she's like, it was scary, And looking at it through that lens, I'm like, no, I don't know if I would show my kids the Wiz until they're like at least in middle school. And even then, like it'll be dependent on who they are as people, like what is y'all's terror level, because
there are scary parts in for me personally, and remembering it as a kid and watching it again, there are scary parts in every single act of this movie.
For real.
Well, I mean, that's that way with any kids movie when you're just like you're a kid and then you're like, oh, I don't remember this being seen scary. And then watching it and saying, this is terrifying. Why is this in a child's film? Like, so there are multiple. This movie, I think, just is that same standard where it's like, it wasn't that scary, and then you watch it again, and you're like, this should not have been allowed around children. Who thought this was okay?
I mean, it's rated G at that.
Oh, it was rated G? Yeah.
This movie's rated G. Yes.
No, you lie.
I'm looking on IMDb right now. It's rated G.
Yeah, G.
Back then, there wasn't the rating system weird back then because there either wasn't a PG or like there wasn't a PG.
Yeah, back then it was just G and PG and R. Those are the only ones that existed as far as like what would go in theaters. So to get a PG, you had to be like basically, and PG would be the equivalent of what we would say is PG-13 now, is what they used to give a PG rating to.
That's crazy.
I guess it was not really sex or violence, so I could see where the G rating came from.
Although those Poppy Field girls though look good. They were all walking around in bikinis and high heels. I don't know what that was about. I was like, this is random.
That movie, the whole movie, the one I would say is the scariest was definitely the Tin Man, because it's not that like his body, like the tin is made out. His face looks like it's like flesh coming off. That's the part that scares me about this.
Yeah, they definitely sculpted the.
I never was scared of the Tin Man. I thought the Tin Man.
I'm just saying, like his flesh doesn't look like it's attached to his Like they didn't. They made it like
he doesn't have flesh. He's a robot.
it looks like somebody put flesh on a tin person. That's what I'm saying. It like they tried to make it look like he was, metal, but it didn't come off with that effect. It just was very fleshy. It's creepy to me. But like the other characters didn't scare me that much.
The scariest characters for me, I think, in this movie are either the flying monkeys, just their mouths look really weird. Eveline, she's very scary looking. And the slaves, when they're like slaves, and that outfit that they wear.
That doesn't scare me as much as just when they unzip their faces and then black bodies come out, and I'm just like, Jesus, what is going on?
Honestly, when I saw that scene where they are enslaved, it honestly gave me those ours. What's the Key and Peele movie?
Oh, wait, what?
Not Get Out. Us. Thank you.
Us,
I was saying ours. Us, because they were all wearing that like kind of jumpsuit, the orange jumpsuit. It's like us.
And then they were in yellow bikinis and speedos. Like I still to this day am still like, that's okay.
I mean, yellow is very complimentary to darker skin. You guys would look great in yellow.
I mean,
not speedos wise, but just a shirt.
I get it. It's just one of those things where I'm just like looking at the movie. I'm just like, and also I'm like, wow, every single person she employs looks like a model. Like, like all the dudes are jacked. All the women.
But that's why she had to have them in the suits, because they were better looking than her. Yeah. I mean, you look how she looks. She's like, I don't want to hear any bad news. Don't give me bad news.
Don't nobody give me no bad news.
Alex, what was your experience watching this movie for the first time?
Yes, and what was your thoughts going into it?
Since the first time, I was aware of the film. I never fully watched it. It creeped me out a little bit. Just because of the way they made it mainly was the Tin Man in his flesh, or non-flesh, I guess. But all the other characters, like, I enjoyed. The crows reminded me so much of the Disney crows. Like that, I was like, wow, those crows feel really racist again. This part I'm thinking like crows are just racist. But I really enjoyed it. I really like how they kept to the theme of Wizard of Oz and how well they were able to, I don't want to say manipulate, adjust it into a more modern setting without losing the magic feel of it. And I think that was really cool to do, because with the Wizard of Oz, she's like, oh, definitely not in Kansas. Nothing is like Kansas, nothing like this. But this was an interesting intertwining of both the magical world and the city world. And as I said previously, growing up in Chicago, it wasn't a very magical world to live in. So seeing how it could be intertwined was like, oh yeah, thinking that way could have been like really cool. And, and another thing was they kept saying Emerald City in this film. And I haven't watched The Wizard of Oz maybe since before I moved to Seattle. And Seattle's called the Emerald City. So I was like, oh, they're heading to Seattle every single time. Every single time. I was like, Seattle. No, I didn't think this way beforehand.
And there's another Seattle connection, because Quincy Jones, who did the music for this movie, he's from Seattle. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Kind of like what you were saying, the city aspect. I was thinking when I was watching the movie that I've never like put it into these type of words before, but regular Wizard of Oz is like, Oz is a fantasy magical world, and this Oz is like a dystopian city society that has like been ruined. Yeah. So I like
and trashy.
And I think that's what I liked. I liked most about it when I first watched this movie.
Also devoid of people, because there are multiple times they're running around and there is nobody people present. It's just like, Arcade, does Oz just not have a population?
Well, that was the same way in The Wizard of Oz. She only came around those few people.
But at least but also the Oz in that movie is like a forest. It feels very fantastical. Versus this is a city and nobody's around.
I just thought it was hilarious because I didn't think about that it's like a dystopian world. I was like, oh, it's a fun, magical way to intertwine the city. I'm going magical. I'm like, because I grew up in the inner city like that. So I was like, oh, look, it could be magical with yellow brick roads and rainbow. This is a dystopian future.
Dystopian future
Where there's trash and there's garbage everywhere.
Well, everything sucks.
The roads are yellow though.
Crows walk the street as human-sized people.
That would have
mutated from the ooze.
I didn't. No, let's not. I don't like birds very much. We're gonna spoil this movie. It's from 1970. Well, it's also the Wizard. It's also the Wizard of Oz. This movie has come out 40 years ago. Everybody, if you have not seen The Wiz, you have seen The Wizard of Oz, or at least you've heard of The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
So it's like we're fine.
You should know the premise.
There's also a dog named Toto. There now,
yes.
I ruined everything.
You know what? You want to talk about people who don't want to be on set the most? That dog. Every scene with Toto is him running.
He's running away
somewhere. Like he's never around.
I was saying that too, but I think for whatever reason I think for whatever reason they just needed him to do something. So they were like, "Come here, Toto," and he would run off screen. So that way, that would explain. Because you can't get the dog to dance, so they would have to have him.
Yes,
do something.
you can.
Yes, if you train the dog well, you could. But also, it's like even when Diana Ross is holding the dog is like squirming, like he wants to get free. He's like, "Get off of me, woman! I'm trying to leave. They got treats next to the craft services table. Get off me!" And whenever he's running behind her, I thought it was going to be a thing where it's like, oh, he's going to run and catch up. No, he always runs past her. Like he's running to something else. That dog refused to cooperate with the staff. He was just like, I don't want to be in this film. I was brought here against my will, and I was told I was going to get bacon treats if I stayed.
That was probably the inspiration for how she got to Oz, because they were like, okay, this dog don't want to cooperate. We're gonna have to change it. He runs away, and he's the reason why Dorothy lands into Oz.
There you go.
Also, yeah, the Thanksgiving dinner at the beginning of this movie is it's nice and the song's nice, but it was one of those things where I'm like, why is Dorothy all sad and depressed and stuff? I mean, all her family's here.
I didn't remember that I didn't remember how like depressed and sad she was from when I had seen it the last time I had seen it. And it kind of, I think it kind of adds like to the overall story, in the sense that she's wanting to find her purpose and so and that kind of stuff, and find herself, but then she finds herself in Oz and all that good stuff.
I can understand, because I mentioned that I come from a very large family, and I was never one to really follow in the track of family. Like when people were talking about like starting to date, I was not dating. When my cousins were talking about like, oh, thinking about like marriage or kids, or they were talking about I was like definitely not in that vibe. And there's this like, and I didn't like, I had friends, but I was actually never very close to my friends. So they didn't really know who I was. So there's this kind of sadness you feel when you are in like a large group of people you would call your family or your friends, but nobody really knows who you are. And so you're kind of just hanging there. And like, you can't really talk about yourself and who you are, because if you do, they all have no idea who you're actually talking about. So I like really vibed with her. Now I have like people like you guys. I care about y'all. And you all know me. Yeah, actual me, which is very nice.
Yeah, we care about you too, Alex. We love you.
Thank you.
I care about everyone in this call right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, including you, Alex.
Why'd you say all weird like that? All you could have said was, I care about you too, Alex.
It did. It was just like, I care about you both. Well, no, he was including Cheddar, who's hiding in the back by my
right. I wanted to spread the love, but I made it weird anyway.
You're good. But like, I get that sense of like being alone and kind of wanting to find your place, and like, maybe there's more to than like what I would see with my family, which was a lot of like having children or something like that, and like, oh, dude, and I'm just like, nope, definitely not with the kids, especially. So like, just doing something definitely different. And And then yeah, she goes. I like how they also put in a snowstorm instead of a tornado.
Yeah, it made more sense.
It made more sense, and it was a good like. It was just they kept the storm, and that's what I like. And whiteouts. If you've ever been in a snowstorm, a whiteout like that, it is
I can't
terrifying.
see.
You can't see a thing. I've been in like a couple of those, and it's just like it's you can barely see like the hand in front of your face with how dense the snow can really be. So I
Right.
really like that they use a snowstorm instead of tornado because
And they
tornado in Harlem wouldn't make sense.
right. And they made it realistic too. Like the budget for this movie, well, we can get into the like behind the scenes stuff later, but the budget for this movie was $24 million,
And
which
it
is huge
shows
for it's huge for
they go someplace
1978.
like heck that amusement park they go to with to find the Tin Man. I was like, that's an outside set, which means they had to build that. Like that's just, you don't just find that like out and about. Also, I love that Toto was like, how does the Yellow Brick Road eventually go into a roller coaster of some kind? Because they come out of a roller coaster and Toto slides down like, I ain't got no grip. Dorothy, help! He just slides down. And I was like, how did the brick road get here? Like, who paved this? Because they should be fired. Like, this is not a linear path.
They were taking
all.
advice from people in Seattle. I mean, the streets around here are like that.
That's true.
Getting into like the citizens of Oz, did you guys have a favorite of the three? For those who don't know, we got Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow, Nipsey Russell as the Tin Man, and Ted Ross as the Lion, who I can't find a picture of this man.
And he actually originated the role on the Broadway stage play. So The Wiz came from the Broadway play of the same name, obviously. And Ted Ross, who played the Lion, he originated the role in play, and I guess they thought he was so good. So, and also Eveline.
He was great in the movie. Like he
Mhm.
was fantastic. He killed it, man. Although I love when he shows up and he's like looking in the stone lion. They're like, that lion's checking us out. He's like, oh shoot, they saw me. He just starts looking in the same direction, like, we saw you, dog. Like, it's over. We already know that you were looking at me.
We saw you, cat. Anyway, I'm sorry. So my favorite, and I always have, I think I mentioned it on a podcast recently on our Halloween episode, but growing up, I always dressed as the Tin Man. And so obviously I have a love for the Tin Man, but watching this movie, I had a very deep appreciation for the Tin Man because I love his song. I love his songs in the movie. And when we first get introduced to him in the movie, he sings like 2 songs back in a row. I mean, back to back.
I like the first one. I forget what it's called, but it's
like some oil to me.
Like no, the first one where he's like, if I could feel.
I was like, slide some oil to me is a little dirty.
I know that's what I was thinking as well while watching it. I'm like, watching it as an adult is a different experience. But
it's just because Diana Ross is like 30.
Maybe that was it. They were all age appropriate. So like my brain was like,
there's a point where when they go see the Wiz, Diana Ross, like, the Wiz shouts at them like out when she's talking to the microphone, and she reels back. And there's a point where she reels back into the Tin Man, and the Tin Man is just grabbing all around her chest. I'm just like, he's just trying to cop a feel. I see you. All right. Don't try and act like you're just
can't feel
her.
Nothing though. He's made of tin. He can't feel nothing.
Maybe he can't, but Nipsey Russell definitely can. All right, the grown man, the man. He could have grabbed her waist or something, is what I'm saying. All right. He had to grab all her chest or her shoulder or something.
I agree with that.
I love Nipsey Russell in this movie, but yeah. Anyway.
He's great though. He's fantastic. I'm just making jokes.
Alex, but my favorite song in sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. What was your favorite song?
My favorite song in the movie, it's a tie between Ease on Down the Road, which is obviously played multiple times in the movie, and You Can't Win. Scarecrow, Michael Jackson, he sings that.
Yeah, I actually like that song. That whole scene felt like very Disney racist style, old school style to me.
I would say it's racist if Motown didn't make this movie. Like, it's like
true.
it's a different thing when black people are making other black people be like, do the whole, hey, nah, this the Scarecrow talking. How you doing there, brother? When it's black people directing that, it
Well,
feels real
well,
versus when it's white
a
people
white
doing
man.
it.
So I
I
agree
mean,
with
Sidney
you. I agree
Lumet
with
did
you.
direct this
A
movie. I
white man did
know
direct the movie,
Sidney
but
Lumet did direct this movie. Joel Schumacher wrote the screenplay. I get that.
I'm just
But
saying
the Broadway play is made by a black man, I think.
it gives me
yeah.
very Disney old school vibes. And with Disney old school, some of them are like, as an adult now, I see it ain't the best. But I mean, even with if it's a creator of color, sometimes the good scenes that you remember aren't the best scenes sometimes in actuality. But I did like the
Well,
song "You Can't Win" and the Crow anthem, or it was
Yeah.
originally called. I believe they called it the Crow anthem in the film.
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, which I really did enjoy that song. Uh, and that whole scene was just like kind of weird because they were the humanoid crows, and what you said earlier about like the crows walking about human size, that freaks me out. All right, I have been open about having a phobia of beers, of birds, not beards. I love beards actually. Of birds, but it freaks me out. And then they were kind of just like dancing around like that, and I'm like, I think that was another reason that scene made me uneasy, was because there was just a bunch of humanoid crows dancing about with those like weird like yeah, no, that whole scene just multiple levels. But it was, yeah, a good chunk of it was that. I'm not a fan of the words, but I really love that song and I thought it was really good. As for a favorite character, I don't think I really had one, not because I didn't like love the movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I just did not tend to favor one character or another. I thought they were all really good, played really well, and like all the actors seemed fitted to their role. So I think that helped immensely. Every actor, I didn't ever think, oh, this actor would be better, or even have that thought of, oh, if they made it in like more modern time, or in this year, what actor would play that's famous now. I didn't even have that thought. I was like, oh, this actor's really good doing this, and that was it. And so that was like, it's very rare you get to find a movie like that where you're like, this is good. The actors in this are playing their characters, and like you don't need to think about like if they're going to remake this, and please don't let them remake this. It's one of
They've
those
only
good
done
films.
like a live version of it with Queen Latifah, as far as I
and
know.
I
But that's
watched
the
that.
most I've heard.
I watched that live, and it was good. It didn't have the nostalgia that I obviously had with the movie, but it was still a good time.
I would say my favorite is the Tin Man. Nipsey Russell's the Tin Man. But seeing this musical and listening to it again, I didn't realize how many songs I still remember. But also like hearing some of these people, like hearing Michael Jackson's voice in a musical setting is so refreshing. Like, because normally you're used to him being like the pop star and singing in that way, but hearing him just kind of like be cool and sing like with other people in an ensemble cast, it's really well done. It's really cool to hear, and it's not just him, like everybody's voice.
And I will say his one thing that I didn't appreciate prior when I watched this movie was his physicality as the Scarecrow.
He does a great job as the Scarecrow. He's clumsy, but it works for him, especially with the way he dances too, because his dance moves are so smooth. So they're very fluid. Yeah. So him being clumsy and mixing that into his dance moves, being like such a fluid dancer, it just works. It works really well. But also Nipsey Russell being like a tap dancer and stuff like that. Like that works because he's covered in junk. Of course he's got metal on his shoes. Like it works. And even the costuming in this movie is so good. Like everybody's costumes looks fantastic. If anything, Dorothy's is the one that's the least like busy, but even that one is still not too bad. Like I love especially love the lion's costume where it's like a jacket. Supposed to be just he's all lion, but I love that it's a jacket. He can like pin the tail up. At one point he just pins the tail up for some reason. I'm like, Okay, it looks weird, but okay. Like he's out here
Wants to get
styling
it
and
out of the way.
profiling. Which
He's-
my favorite songs. It's a lot. There's a lot of songs I love. I love the "You Can't Win" song. I love the "If I Could Feel" song from the Tin Man. The Lions intro song, "I'm a mean old lion." Like I love that song so much. And then I also love "Don't Bring Me No Bad News." Like that. And that's just the gospel in me. I love a good like funk turned gospel track. Like if you can throw in that like gospel piano with the choir, I'm sold. I'm in.
Good chunk of it sounded gospel to me.
There's a lot of gospel
Yeah.
in this. A lot of gospel feels in this. A lot of R&B feels in this for sure.
One thing that really, like, when I was watching this now, like, I was amazed at, and it had always stuck out to me when I watched the movie previously, but like here it was just like, whoa, the scene when they first get to the Emerald City and you have all the people dancing.
There's no music.
Green.
There's no song. It's just like dance.
Right. And they're just like, it's like spoken word almost. And it's all these people and they're all dressed in like these high fashion like garments. And it looked, for like that whole entire scene, it looked like I was watching something that wasn't from the 70s. It looks like that could be played out today. Like the scene looks like maybe it was just the remastering, but it looked like it could be from a movie today. And
There's very technicolor style going on.
it was
Like, we went through a TV time period where everything was just like bright, that 90s vibe where everybody wore every different color they possibly could. I really like that the reason the Wiz allowed her to stay in the Emerald City was because of her shoes. He's like, those shoes are great. Like, you can stay. Because that was another thing about all the color was that their clothes would magically change according to like what the Wiz had decided was like in or out, or like what he did or did not. So they were like there to just change. But like he's like, the silver shoes, they're always in style.
I love the because I forgot that what his like fake, because in the Wizard of Oz it's like a big green head being all like, "You dare challenge the Wizard of Oz," and so I forgot what the Wiz is what. And when they go in and they see that big metal head with the afro and mustache, I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry, I know you're trying to be serious, but
that scene kind of scared me as a kid like, sometimes too.
I'm just waiting for him to be like, "Hey, baby, what's going on? You want to get some magic from the Wiz, girl? Shoot."
I mean, see, technically he was appropriate looking for the time,
I guess, but it's just like, why is he have an afro? He could just be a bald metal head.
All
he don't need the fro.
Respect to the creators of the movie, again, I enjoyed this. He reminded me of a chia pet. No?
I see what you mean.
Right, though?
I do.
A little bit. Jonathan, you gotta admit, he looked like a little bit of a chia pet that somebody put like lights in his eyes.
He's just like, "Give me your shoes." No. Did you say no to the Wizard of Oz?
You're a giant head.
You want to die?
What are you gonna do with shoes?
That scene where she's like, that scene always stuck out of my head. "My name is Dorothy and I'm here to go home," or whatever she says. But Diana Ross does so much screaming in this movie.
She does. She yells a lot.
She does.
Although the lion is my favorite character though, when it comes to like line delivery, because that still makes you laugh in the Wiz when he's like, when they're like, he's like, I'm the Scarecrow and I want a brain, and I'm the Tin Man. I want a heart, and you, Lion, what do you want? To get the hell out of here! Like,
that time I was with the lion, I was like, this giant metal head's talking. Like, he was the only reasonable one sometimes.
I laughed.
He just starts leaving them when Dorothy's like, he wants some courage. Is that true? Yeah, whatever she said. I don't know what you want from me. Like, don't hurt me.
That was like, it was perfect.
Come on, man. Too. It was great timing. He like that dude, Ted Ross. He has all the best comedic lines in this movie. Easily. Although it gets dark when he's like, You know what? I'm just gonna kill myself. I'm just gonna jump off this building. I was like, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah, he got real quick sometimes.
What
It
is
was
going
like, wait,
on?
Oh, it gets dark.
it
It
got
gets real dark. It's like, geez Louise, man. I get you're sad, but like, come on. Like, we just met you. You can't die now.
I also have to give it up to Diana Ross for doing the entire movie, running, dancing in those heels, especially
Yeah, that was probably, I mean, Dan doing some serious dance moves. I mean, it's not like she was
does
just
cartwheels
doing a
and
little
stuff.
two-step. She's like full on like leaping and sprinting and jumping and everything.
And she outruns the monkeys in her heels.
For real, she was booking it.
And they are on scooters.
It's like you can outrun things in heels. Yeah.
Like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, she doesn't have like high heels. She has like
heels are heels. Those hurt.
Heels. I'm just saying, it's like I can believe that she can run in those way more than I can believe Bryce Dallas Howard could run in her like fashion heels that she had in Jurassic World.
I wore some high heels for New Year's and I was moving quite quickly one year.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had to have my feet on like ice for like 2 days. It was so bad. But I wore them because I looked nice. And I stuck with them for like 8 hours. It was awful.
I don't know if Diana Ross being the age she was when she did this movie, though, it can be distracting at times, because even though they still aged her up in the movie to be like 24 or whatever, it still doesn't work because we know Diana Ross is older than that and she looks older than that. So I
think that was definitely one of the main criticisms. I know that the movie definitely has it's aged gracefully, but at the time people were not really about it, and that was one of the main criticisms.
I wonder why though, because I like there were younger singers who could sing like Diana Ross at the time. I wonder if it was just a friend thing because Quincy Jones knew Diana.
I was reading into some of the history. I was reading into some of the history, and Diana Ross first asked the original person who was like the head of Motown. What's the name of it?
Motown Records.
Motown Productions.
Oh.
She originally asked the person who was the head of that, and he said no. He wanted Stephanie Mills, who did Dorothy in the stage musical, because she was age appropriate. She was like 16 at the time. So she went around to the director or somebody else. She went behind the back of the person she had initially asked and said, please, please, please let me in this movie. And he said yes. And that's how she got the role.
It's also one of those things that you're like, well, this is a really good and probably a role that could have boosted some young singer, some young actress's role. Instead, they gave it to someone who had a connection, who was more popular. So it's one of those, like, you can also argue and be like, well, she kind of took away a role from somebody who could have, been the appropriate age for it, who honestly maybe could have been a better singer. You never know, because it's one of those like, oh, the bigger star got the bigger role because, they knew the producer ahead of time, or they knew that or this, instead of giving some young star a chance.
I mean, because I will say it's not like Diana Ross does a bad job. She does fine, and both in the singing and the acting department. It's just
dancing.
Dancing
is the thing that she does more than fine in the dancing department, because
so it's not like she couldn't do the job. It's just one of those things where it's like it's distracting. It's no different than people giving what's his name in Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Is it Ben Platt?
Ben Platt, yeah.
Yeah, they're giving him a hard time because he doesn't look like a high schooler, but he's playing one even though he's closer to 40. Like, it's distracting. And during this movie, it is a bit distracting. The only saving grace is that she's not around normal looking people. She's around a scarecrow man, a robot, and a lion. Like, so it's like you have no normal people to compare her to or normal kids to compare her to. Although that's the other thing too. The ADR in this is not always great. The singing, being what it is, that's fine. It's more just like when they're talking, Because like when she first meets the Munchkins, those kids are not saying those lines on set. They went back and recorded themselves.
I know that was something I could tell too.
You could tell.
I
but
didn't pay attention
I just
to that.
attributed it to a product of the time, like
maybe that's true. Although
it was definitely noticeable. Like, yeah, they were just moving their lips,
and they weren't the only ones. Like there was some times later in the film where I was like, y'all just, that's what y'all gonna go with, huh?
I mean,
that's the
all
ADR y'all gonna settle for.
In all fairness, if they were actually filming in Harlem, that's a busy city. So like, I could see why they probably need to go back and re-record a lot of stuff.
Oh no, I get that. Heck, most movies that we've filmed that are filmed today, very little of it is natural on-set sound, unless they film the whole thing in a studio. Most of it is ADR, but it's just one of those things where it's like you gotta be good at mixing it and making it seem like it's actually like the trick is making it seem like they did say that on set that day.
I will really totally half off topic. There is a TikTok account I follow because that's where I spend my life right now. She works in a sound studio. It's really cool because she'll show you what sound she adds to the movie, and it's super funny. And it's one person mainly doing a lot of these sounds for herself. And there was a kissing scene, and it's just her basically making out with her own hand, and like that is imprinted in my head forever. And then there's
when I went on the Paramount. Or no, sorry, it was Sony. When we went on the Sony studio tour, they took us to the room where they make all those noises, and it's just like it's basically like a warehouse room with like
Foley
shoes and
crazy
and like doors on the side and everything.
It was super funny. There was another one where she was trying to, I think it was like steps, but she was using her hands instead, so it's just her shoes. Mm-hmm. So she's just doing this, and like she had like this bored look on her face, like this isn't even this is the normal one on my job. Wait till I get to doing something else. This is just me walking. It was just so funny how well she was able to time. But yeah, no, the Foley studios were like amazing because the person I follow, she gave a little tour of basically what she gave a tour of was this giant warehouse, and you just have like these different little rooms where you do different sounds, or like, we're going to set up for this movie that has a lot of sounds, so let's get all the junk in there for it. So, but that was semi on and off topic with that. I just thought that was, I'm like, I see it and I think it's just amazing what they were doing.
Watch Hugh Jackman do his ADR for like, there's one where he's doing a Wolverine movie, and
I've seen that
sequence where he's running. He's like,
and
I'm just like,
he's just like running in place.
I've seen that.
That's a real thing, but it's what you have to do. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those things where, like you said, Jonathan, it's probably a product of its time, to be quite honest. Even though the Munchkins were super creepy. I mean, every intro in this movie is creepy. The lion is staring at them in the line. The Tin Man, the creepy crows, the Munchkins coming out the wall in the dark.
I'm surprised you guys have not brought up the subway scene, because that is
the subway.
The scene that I think of when I think of the creepiness.
And when the creatures I'm like, yo, they're getting bigger. Oh, we just not gonna move. We not gonna move right now. We not gonna run away from.
In all fairness, because we got the trains back in Chicago. If you found a seat, I don't care what's coming towards me. I'm sitting down. I got a seat. Lion. Okay.
The lion felt how I felt though, because he was like, "Look, y'all can stand here all y'all want. I'm out." Like,
mine is he just look. If I got a seat on the train, I'm sitting down. I'm staying down. All right. Also, I probably had to push on a little old woman for this seat, but I got it.
It's like the movie takes a sharp left and just goes straight horror for a second.
Here's the thing. So, here's the thing. It's like the subway starts attacking them, but some things I'm like, okay, is that really a threat? Like, because when the trash cans, okay, the trash cans have mouths. I get that, but it's like the pillars are coming at you super slow. Just move out the way. Like you act like you didn't see them come out the wall,
but they're everywhere though.
And everything. Also, who's holding up the subway right now? if all these pillars are coming at you, some of this should be falling. Those are load-bearing pillars. You know what I'm saying? Like they should be collapsed under some rubble right now.
What about
Probably
those
one more rating
things
star.
that like come alive? What about those things? How are they a threat?
I don't know, because they didn't have hands. They couldn't like grab
They
you
can
or
like
anything. They could just
bop
walk
you.
at
They
you
could
like
they
this.
could push you on the train tracks. They could go like boom. Same with the trash cans. They could bite you.
Yeah.
I mean-
Although you were talking about Diana Ross has heels. Also, I never noticed until I watched it today that the lion has heels too.
I noticed that as well.
Really?
Watching it.
His shoes are
Yes.
heels. His like little foot is heels. Not tall.
Which I'm like, that's a
heels,
good
but-
touch.
But like
they're like this tall.
Yeah, they're not.
They're like
very-
men's heels, like what you would wear with
Less,
like a
yeah.
dress shoe. Yeah,
platforms,
right.
more platform style.
Mhm.
Also, speaking of Diana Ross, it's crazy to think that she is the only living person of this cast, of the main cast at least, of the people who are credited.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy to just think about
Heck,
how
Not only is she alive, she has an album come out this year. Like she's still
For
active.
she's
real?
still working. She's
still working.
Well, I know she was still working. I didn't know she was still working like going with like new music.
Her album came out like a couple weeks ago.
Damn. So much
It's
respect
like-
for her.
It's like a testament to how because I try to put into perspective like how long ago 1978 was, and you know the baby at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
that baby at the Thanksgiving dinner, that baby is at least 42 years old, which is just crazy to think.
No, older.
At least 42, because the movie came out in 78.
He said at least 42, but not that they are 42.
Or at least 43, I guess.
Covered
I
his
get
bases. Yeah, the thing about this movie is that I just love the production value too. Like every set piece is really cool and big and grand. From the factory to the like, even when she lands through the big Oz sign, which it's not actually an Oz sign, because when you look at the symbol, it looks like it's actually like top down like this, but the way they film it, it looks like she's flying through the Z.
Well, that was the whole
and
point.
stuff.
Yeah.
Although those munchkins, like the munchkins in Munchkin Land in the original are just like, hey, you just killed the witch. It's okay though. But this one, they are just like keep reminding her. They're just like, hey, you just murdered that woman. Well, I didn't mean to. No, it's all good that you murdered her. You know, murdering people is sometimes a good thing. I mean, she was mean. That's why she deserved to be murdered. Did I say murdered enough? Hold on, I'm gonna say it again. You murdered that one. You murdered. They're just harping on the fact that she killed this lady and how cool it is. And I'm just like, are y'all okay? Like,
That's all.
Are y'all not? Are y'all walking
that's
around
just like the
murdering people?
Wizard of Oz and everything too. Hey, you killed her. I didn't mean to kill her, but she's dead. Yay! I mean, that was in the original Wizard of Oz too.
It's just
People are dead.
the dialogue doesn't seem like it. Although they do,
No,
they
say
do sing
the-
a whole
they say-
song about it. It's all ding dong, the
They-
witch is dead.
Yeah, but they do
So,
say like, "Oh,
never
you
mind.
killed her." It's a little different to like, "You murdered her," which they do say in the Wiz. They're like, "You murdered her," which feels like such a more harsher tone. Like, you like straight up came in this like brutally murdered the no. A
Well, it's
sign
just
fell on
like
her.
because they're like, they're like, yeah, you murdered. She's like, I never murdered anybody in my life. Well, welcome to the club, baby. Go ahead. I'm just like, wait, whoa, what do you mean welcome? Like that's not a good thing. You shouldn't be striving to murder people.
Wait, so did he just admit that he killed somebody too?
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have shanked up a lot of people.
Dorothy has 2 kills in this movie alone.
Oh damn.
I mean, that's true. The lion probably has some killed under his belt, you know, just like eating
True.
food in the jungle and whatnot.
But then again, he was scared of everything.
I mean, I don't know. We don't know what he was like when he was a baby.
It's true.
Oh God, no, that's not. I hope an executive
Origin
doesn't hear me
story.
say that. It's gonna start the Wizard of Oz universe. We're gonna find out where the Scarecrow comes from and where the the lion
I
comes from.
know.
I would
Where the
actually
Tin Man
like.
comes from.
I would actually like a remake of this movie. Dare I say
I
it?
don't want a remake of The
No,
Wiz.
don't stop
I
that.
do.
You can make
I
the
don't.
remake.
I'm putting it out
No.
into the universe.
Because it's a product of its time. Like because of, and not just because of the film itself, but who they cast in it. You got this is when Motown was Motown. Like the biggest names on Motown records
Who would
were around at the
replace
time.
Motown?
I don't know. TDE. Like talking to
You're like the one with the music background and stuff.
The thing is that bit my tongue. The thing is that there's no company like Motown anymore that's like black owned to do that. Like there's a lot of hip hop labels and R&B labels, but there's no like label that is as diverse as Motown was, or has that level of talent in that capacity. Like most of the like really good singers are with so many different record labels. It would be kind of hard to nail people down, although you could probably do it. I did think about that when I was watching the movie. I was like, who would I cast as Dorothy? And admittedly, the only name that came up that I was like, I could see her doing is Chloe Bailey. I would be down for that. Or
Not Halle?
Either or, but Chloe's the name that came to mind. Because Hallie's doing what's it called? The
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. So she's already got her bag. All right, let Chloe get one. But Chloe Bailey or Halle Bailey, they're super young looking, and I think they have the vocal range to sing. That's like, because when that song "Home" comes on, like when I think of home, I think of a place. Like that's a hard song to sing, and not just anybody can just sing it. Like it has to be someone who has that range. But I also think about the young factor too. So I feel like one of them, they're young enough that they look like they could still pass for about 16, or if you do want to age it up, at least like 20, and they have the vocal capability to sing that song as well as all of Diana Ross's songs in this movie. I don't know who would replace the others though. I don't know who would do the Lion, who would do the Tin Man. Like
I would just in the Wiz
Kevin
Live,
Hart, the Lion.
Okay, it has to be someone who can sing.
Well,
Kevin Hart. You can't tell me he wouldn't be a fantastic Lion and be like, "I'm getting the hell out of here."
Comedy down, but he wouldn't.
In the Wiz Live, David Allen Greer was the Lion and Neo was the Tin Man.
Neo sounds. His voice is too nice. I like a raspy Tin Man because he's he needs oil.
Well,
so he needs to have the grit.
Do you want the singing to come first or the acting? Because
I
a
think
lot
it
of
should
these
be.
they got like musicians or people who could sing or who were singers more than they were acting, and they kind of put that almost first.
Yeah, I mean, look at like A Star Is Born. Lady Gaga, she's a singer.
She was very good in that.
I mean, it just because I'm thinking about the Wiz. You're right. The Wiz's thing is that everybody in it, they put the talent first before they thought about if you could like acting wise, because they're like Diana Ross, amazing singer, she's got the role. Michael Jackson, amazing singer and dancer, definitely got the role. Nipsey Russell, great singer, great dancer. A lot of them
were composers and everything before.
Exactly, like they picked Nipsey Russell who could do it.
I don't think Nipsey Russell was like known for. He was
one
of our virtual right. He was one of our quick plug. He was one of our virtual monuments for Hit Record. But he was a comedian.
Right. He wasn't really known for it, but he definitely had the skill to do it. And that's the thing. Like, granted, his voice, because there are times where he's trying to sing with like Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, and it's like, it's not quite working. You can't hit the same places they can hit. But it's because he's so in character though, and he's so charming that you roll with it. And I don't know anybody who's like that charming and actually can dance. Like that's the thing. Everyone's got to be able to participate. It's one of the things I respected about In the Heights so much, is that they were like, yeah, we could get bigger names, but they can't do what we need them to do. We need them to be able to dance. We need them to be able to really sing. Like we need people who can do the job and act. Like it has to be an and, it can't be a or. So if they do redo The Wiz, I hope they keep that in mind. It's like, look at the legacy we're living up to. We're living up to a pretty big legacy of some pretty talented people who did this movie flawlessly the first time. So whoever we do get to do the new one has to be up to that level.
I would just like to see, because they obviously had so much, they had a big budget in this one and they were able to do a lot with it. I just would want to see what they could do with today's stuff, how it would translate to today's.
The only thing I
filming.
would ask them not to do is, if I could ask them not to do one thing, was that creepy zipper flash thing. Yeah.
That was
That's about
creepy.
it. I mean,
That
there's
was
like
creep-
some parts that like I wasn't really vibing with, or other parts I was like, this is kind of a low point in the film where it's kind of boring. But I really did enjoy it. And then that scene, I was like, was unzipping the flesh really necessary? Like,
And then it's a little bit
remix this.
sensual. It's a little bit
should-
sensual. Like
it
they're like
is.
with the rain, and they're like
and they're all
touching their
oiled up
bodies.
and stuff, and then like,
why
you know
are they
what I mean?
oiled in the
Like,
suit? It's fabric. That's just
they're all oil. Well,
like-
no, it's not that they're oiled up. It's that they're supposed to be sweaty because they've been working in this like sweatshop.
yeah,
That's what
but it
described
doesn't
as.
even look like it's. It doesn't even look like they tried to make it look like sweat. That was like pure oil.
Oh, it
They
was
were-
definitely
they just
baby oil.
Listen, yeah. So it wasn't
Out
like
here
it was like,
glistening.
oh, like let's just spray some water on them. It'll be fine. It'll look like they're sweating. No, it's like dip them in baby oil, and we'll just tell people they were sweating.
I don't want them to remake this movie. I feel like it is a product of its time. Make some new black musicals. Yeah, for sure. Or and, you know, and if they do like the live thing they did, that's cool. But as far as like making a whole new The Wiz movie, I don't think it'll work. I just don't think they have the people. And knowing modern day, they'll be like, all right, how do we fit a hip hop song in here? It's like, no, there is no hip hop song. This is R&B, jazz, blues, and gospel.
But wouldn't that be
Leave it
modernized though?
alone.
Hip hopping wouldn't that be modernizing it more?
It
though?
would be modernizing it, but some things you just gotta let be what it is. It's no different than when they tried to put hip hop in Cats. Hip
Hear
hop
me out.
don't belong in Cats. Like, period. I don't
Nothing.
care if
Cats-
it's modern or not.
Cats shouldn't even be a thing.
That's
Hear
true.
me out. Hear me out. I remember my sister, when I was about, I don't know, 11 or 12, took me to see an all-black version, student production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We could get an all-black Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Although we got the Timothy Chalamet one coming out, so
Also, why?
why the Wiz? Like, why anything? We have this. We have these special things that we could, you know, reinvent and flip the script.
I don't know. I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory needs to just like.
It's too fantastical.
And this-
Like the Wiz, you can break down into like a city set. You can do that with different settings. You can reinvent
no,
what,
I mean,
what
it's
Oz looks like.
I mean,
Charlie
Charlie
and
and
the
the
Chocolate
Chocolate Factory
Factory.
is inner city. It's industrial.
It is, but
Well,
it's like
I-
black people ain't really doing chocolate like that.
No, but- How come? Okay, not every black thing has to take place in the inner city. Like we could, like, why is that the case?
Because that's the whole thing. You go to the suburbs. There's not many people
I,
of color
I
there.
think she's thinking of more just that the Wiz is like trying to mix inner city. I mean, in this version of Oz,
That's-
there's 5 Empire State Buildings, Jonathan.
Look, honestly, also the truth is, I'm not gonna like connect with somebody who's like in the suburbs or something, and you're like 5-bedroom house or even your 3-bedroom house. I live in a box, okay, like 125 square feet. I fit into this. I'm not gonna resonate with the kid who has his own room, with the person who could barely fit their apartment with the 25 people. I get that.
Also, I'm
That's
gonna
where
be
my
honest,
mind's going.
in a black household, Uncle George would have got his behind beat if they found out that all this time you could walk and work, and instead you've been laying in that bed acting like you've been sick like everybody else until the day Charlie
No,
comes
you
with that
always got
golden
that
ticket.
one-
His,
no.
his ass would be grass.
You always got that one. You always got that one uncle that don't do nothing of no sorts.
I'm just saying, the second he's like, well, I'll go with you, Charlie, his dad would be like, if he was black, his dad would be like,
They did
nah,
an SNL skit like that.
nah, you ain't going nowhere, old man. What you finna do is cover my shit.
They did
an SNL skit that with Kristen Stewart, where he gets up to dance and Kristen Stewart's like, as Charlie is like, wait, you could walk this entire time? And he's like, well, yeah. And he goes back to singing. He's like, no, wait. I had to quit school.
Right, cut the music.
I've been doing stuff. I have had to work. I picked a quarter out of a trash can to get the chocolate bar, and you can walk? So, like,
yeah, that wouldn't fly in no black movie, all right? White people might put up with that, but not a black family. Nope. I'm sorry. That ain't gonna work.
I'm not a fan of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That movie,
you're not going to be tuning into the new prequel.
Jesus Christ, I forgot there's a prequel. I try to repress things,
why
guys.
Is there a prequel? I don't understand.
That's a topic for another day.
That is.
You know what? I'm surprised they have never done because the Wizard of Oz is actually a series of books.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they've never done, another one of the books. Because it's
they did do Return to Oz, right?
Yeah, didn't Disney do other books? Didn't Disney do?
They did Return to Oz, and then they did Oz the Great and Powerful. But Oz the Great and the Powerful, they made that up.
But
that wasn't based off a book.
Yeah, it was with James Franco.
And where does Wicked fall into the books?
Wicked is its own
thing.
Yeah. That's its own. Like, it's more or less fan
side story. It's the story of Glinda.
Which how's that petition going to keep James Corden out?
I love that. That's a thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I signed it. And everybody signed it. I have been
finding a lot of like video essays of people breaking down how James Corden has ruined a musical.
Look, I like James Corden, and like I respect the man for getting work, and like you do what you got to do to stay afloat. But like the fact that it has surpassed
100,000,
60,000. I think at 100,000, they can officially like it's like it's official petition that they're gonna send off. But like the fact that somebody started a petition is pretty bad in general against you to just keep you out of Wicked. And it's just
I was a person who was like, oh, whatever, just James Corden, whatever. But then I watched the movie Prom. And to anybody listening, if you haven't watched the movie Prom, it's on Netflix. You can watch it now. And pay attention to James Corden's performance. And you...
Jonathan just looks like, it's like, I was on his side. Then I saw Prom.
Like maybe it wasn't, this or this.
And you know what? I've been wrong before.
It's
and I think he got nominated for a Golden Globe for that.
Why? Because there hasn't been anything good. It's almost at 100,000.
It was in COVID time, so
yeah, it's almost at 100,000 signatures. They just need 6,000 more. Wait, hold on, really quick. I do implore people to go sign that petition. It's on change.org. It is keep James Corden out of the Wicked movie. It was started by Michael Miller. I'm just saying they're going to send it off to Universal Studios. You don't even have to create an account. All you have to do
it'd be so funny if they weren't gonna hire him anyway. But now with the petition, now they're like, you know what? Now we gotta hire.
There's hype around it.
Yeah, there's hype to keep him out.
All PR is good PR.
Out though.
Yeah, but you know what? I just saw a news story. There's also another petition on Change.org right now to recast Black Panther.
Oh yes, because they officially announced that he's not getting recast.
Right. That they're just T'Challa's gonna be I guess dead or something.
I've heard rumors that it's gonna be his child now.
I don't know about that. I know, like, I've heard
future.
rumors that it's also going to be Winston Duke is going to be like Black Panther. Some people still believe it still might be Shuri. Who knows? We'll have to wait till the movie comes out.
Yeah, because I've heard rumors. I've mainly heard the one about
Well, they
It
might be
being
doing
the
some
child,
rewrites
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But there's some, the petition is mostly not so much people being negative, more people being like, we feel like his story wasn't done. And clearly it wasn't, because they probably planned for his character to do more
Oh yeah,
stuff. They just didn't
absolutely.
count on Chadwick Boseman passing away. So they're like, we feel like his story isn't done, and we would like to see what you had planned with T'Challa, the actual Black Panther character.
Yeah, I've seen people on Twitter saying that like this is not the way to honor him. This, like, the way to honor him. And people brought up examples of like people who have passed away and they recast the actor and they went on to do great things. Like I can't think of any examples right now. Maybe Joker. Oh, Joker, obviously. Although that was a different movie. Anyway, but people brought up examples. But Black Panther means so much to so many people. And the fact that he's not going to live on anymore forever is
in
such
live
a
action
thing.
anyway, because he's still, other people have recasted him in cartoons and video games. They're still writing the character in the comics, but that's because there's no voice, so don't have to worry about it. So it's like, you know,
I feel like they people say, yeah, I want to recast because it's like you could do so much more, but at the same time, everybody will be comparing him to Chadwick. So it's like you can't. There'll also be so much like negativity attachment because he played that role so well, and like you can recast him, but everyone's like, oh, but he did this in this film, and oh, he really resonated with character in this way. So I think it's one of those, you damned if you do, if you damned if you don't.
Well, I don't know, because when he died, people were like, oh, he like changed the game with that character, and he's like, he'll always be Black Panther to me. But when he was alive and Black Panther came out, a lot of the criticism of that movie was that despite how good the movie is, Black Panther feels like he has no personality. He's kind of just along for the ride, while all the other characters are the ones you remember the most, like Killmonger, Shuri, Okoye, M'Baku. Like all of them get moments to shine, and Black Panther's kind of in the background. Like he's the main character, but he doesn't really have a lot to do outside of do the action sequences.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like it's no different than people weren't talking about Paul Walker when he was alive playing in the Fast and Furious movies. But when he died, then it became, oh, Brian O'Connor's like the best character in the movie. Like you can't replace Brian. Like he's got to be played by Paul Walker.
I
or nobody
never heard that he was the best character. I just knew that they were
I don't
like,
think
he
anybody
has the best bromance with the Rock.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody says he's the best character, but I know people have a lot more respect for that character now, because the actor who made it synonymous is no longer with us.
You're right. Be that as it may, though, that is now the way of thought. So people would definitely do a lot of comparison still.
For sure.
And I think it's one of those, again, still damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because you're right. People may have collectively started just be like, oh yeah, that was his character because he has passed, Well, like a lot of times people are like, Heath Ledger played the best Joker. But some people are like, oh, not people. Oh, he died for that character. Well, doesn't always make him the best. I did enjoy his Joker. That felt like pure chaos, and I find that fun.
I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's definitely not comic book Joker.
What we can all agree? Jared Leto was the fucking worst one. So bad that they made sure he wasn't even really in the film. The like weird edited Super Squad, they kept him out. They're like, bye. They didn't even give him anything. They gave him a mention barely, like as her ex, and that was it in the second Suicide Squad. And that's what I love, and that we can all agree on as a whole.
Max liked him. Just a slow
close your eye.
The slow blink, like
So The Wiz, I really enjoyed that.
All right, let's get to our ratings.
So The Wiz. It was really good, and I loved it, and it was colorful. And I always appreciate the colors.
Yeah, it was very colorful. It's very beautiful. Hashtag don't reboot the Wiz. Leave it alone.
I will start a petition for that.
I'll be fine if they don't reboot it, but I will be the first in the theater if they do.
Jonathan, I get it. All right. You want to star in a musical. I get it. All right. We will find you a musical. I promise, brother, we will figure. If not, we'll write one ourselves. And then you can finally be in a musical. Like, I know it's your dream.
If I was in the Wiz, I would only want to be the man who opens the gates at
Emerald City.
At Emerald City, yeah, and talks to Dorothy.
You wouldn't want to be the Wiz?
I could see you.
That'd be a cool role.
I won't lie. I could see you playing the Scarecrow.
Or the Scarecrow.
Cause it's mainly because you have very long limbs, and I feel like you could do a lot with them. Maybe take like some like yoga classes.
But then everybody's gonna be writing think pieces comparing me to Michael Jackson. So I'd rather not have
that's what
that.
you signed up for, to accepting the role. Okay, yeah, you just gotta take that with what it is. Now, I will say, actually thinking about that, who should play the Scarecrow if they do recast it? He probably can't dance, but he has the voice for it. The Weeknd. He has the voice to sing.
Has he ever acted?
Jackson. He's acted only as himself in other stuff. He doesn't act. You know what? I could
see that, and the Scarecrow doesn't actually have that much dancing because his dancing. Again,
it's mostly Michael Jackson.
Is Michael Jackson, and then moves. It's like him falling down and him just like not being able to hold himself up properly. So,
and I feel like if he got a movement coach, he could probably pick it up real quick.
Got to do some like hot yoga, loosen up the limbs.
Yeah, and the only reason I think that's because he, for his first album, sang a version of "Dirty Diana," the Michael Jackson song, and he sounds almost spot on like Michael Jackson. Like, he has the vocal chops. He can do it. So I could see that. All right, we at least got two. We got two cast for the reboot. We got Chloe or Halle Bailey, whichever one you pick, and The Weeknd. We need who's gonna be the Tin Man, the Lion, the Wiz, Glinda, and Evelyn. We got 5 more people to cast. Comment below. Tell us who you would cast in those extra 5 people.
Do we want to open up that can of worms?
I mean, if the movie's not going to happen, but we can dream. For Jonathan,
our fan casting.
Yeah, for Jonathan.
Fan fiction again.
So yeah, I enjoyed watching The Wiz just as I did. I haven't when I was younger. I haven't seen it in a few years. Maybe like it's been a minute. It's been about at least like 6-7 years that I've watched this. So it's fun getting to relive it. And it's Thanksgiving time. It's the holidays, so it's good to think about home and being thankful about your friends and family and yeah.
Those who helped you down that long road.
Right. There you go.
I know we're you guys didn't give grades, but I'm gonna give one. This movie is definitely an A for me. I love this movie. It's a classic. I will say it is a little spooky at places, but nonetheless, it fits the theme and tone. The music is awesome. The characters are really well thought out and put together. And I love the costume design in this movie. It's just so colorful and bold and at times breathtaking. And yeah, don't reboot this movie. just let it be what it is. It is a product of its time. When Motown was really like Motown as we know it, the nostalgia of it. And yeah, watch The Wiz. If you haven't seen The Wiz and you've made it this far through the movie or through the review, watch The Wiz. Take some time out this Thanksgiving or sometime after Thanksgiving. Really don't matter the time. Just watch The Wiz. If you're in the mood to watch Wizard of Oz, but you want some flavor in it, you want some soul in it, watch The Wiz.
All right. Socials?
Yeah. Socials.
You can find me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. I also love one of my other favorite songs. I have to shout it out is He's the Wiz. That they sing, the Good Witch sings to
Oh, in the
Dorothy
beginning.
in the beginning. Yeah.
She does a great job too. She kind of has this like lounge singer version of it where she's
Right.
like she can sing, but she's like, nah, I'm gonna be cool with it. I'm all about numbers, baby.
Anyway, where can we find
Where
you,
can,
bro?
where can people find you?
You can find me at Not Jerome Red on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoo Media, as well as see what else I'm working on. And as well, I'd love to plug our YouTube channel. If you have not stopped on by and visited, do go and check that out. We have all types of content up there, gaming content, book reviews, reviews for movies that we didn't get a chance to all watch together, but just little mini reviews. What else we got up there, Jonathan? We got a whole bunch of stuff. Just
We got book reviews, we got gaming stuff, we have every video of the podcast,
vlog stuff,
vlogs, mini reviews.
So stop on by at it's the First Ones to Die on YouTube, full name. Check on in, and find out all the good stuff you're missing if you only listen to the audio version of the podcast. Trust me, you won't regret it.
And you can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram. I'm on the TikTok as Alex and Cheddar, as well as I run the TikTok account for the podcast. The First Ones to Die, where you see snippets of our show and other little things I like to post. That is also the social media title, The First Ones to Die, where you can find us at Gmail, on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere else, Twitter. That's usually our handle. And send us out a shout, rate us, or just interact with us. We love interacting with people, so we can't wait to see how you guys like the Wiz yourself.
Yes, and with that being said, we will see you all next week. Peace out.
Wait, you didn't plug yourself, Jonathan? Where can people find you?
Did.
I already did.
Oh,
yeah.
my bad. I missed it. I'm sorry.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.